We're turning now to Africa's emerging entrepreneurs. The Tony Elumelu Foundation has committed $100 million to a pre-eminent Pan-African Entrepreneurs HEAP program that is set up to empower 10,000 startups across Africa within the next 10 years. In part one of our viewer exclusive interview, Africa 54's Paul Ndiho sat down with Parminder Vir, Chief Executive Officer of the Tony Elumelu Foundation in New York, and she shares our foundation's visions with us.
What attracted me to the foundation was its focus on African entrepreneurship and supporting African entrepreneurship, but more fundamentally that it was espousing a particular economic philosophy of Afri-capitalism, which is that African, and particularly the African private sector, must lead in the development of Africa, i.e. it's Africans who must take responsibility now for the development of Africa. So if they're not looking for aid, they're saying that it's Africans who must invest in the development of Africa. And this is what Tony Elumelu is talking about when he talks about Afri-capitalism. The other thing that really attracted me to the foundation, they were looking at redefining philanthropy. So here is, an incredibly successful man. He could simply have retired, enjoyed his wealth, but here he was, how he can exercise wealth with social responsibility.
How much of an impact do you think that foundation has had on young African entrepreneurs so far?
The impact far exceeds the size and the scale and the longevity of the foundation. It's, in the last 4 or 5 years, it's looked at, have developed programs around leadership. It's developed programs around competitiveness, right? It's because Mr. Elumelu himself is an entrepreneur, and he really sees African entrepreneurs as the lifeblood for the economic development of Africa, and he really wants to encourage young entrepreneurs to think about job creation and not be job seekers. The ambition for the program is to really find and empower those entrepreneurs across Pan-Africa, and that is exactly what we have done.
What does it take for a young entrepreneur somewhere in South Sudan, somewhere in South Africa, Uganda, Kenya, to be part of this program?
First, I think it's important that you really want to be an entrepreneur. I think entrepreneurship is not for everyone. This is a program that is going to grow entrepreneurs, create entrepreneurs. It's not a grant seekers program. But what does it take? For me, it's that fire in your belly. It's the passion. It's the fundamental belief in your business idea. So similarly with the African entrepreneurs from wherever they are, there has to be that fire in the belly, there has to be that passion, there has to be that drive to really make this particular idea of yours work.
I've had the privilege of crisscrossing the continent, and I've met some incredibly talented young people. But one of the things they talk about is they lack seed funding. That capital really gave them a start and take it to the next level. So where does the foundation come in?
So I want to really challenge that notion that there is lack of funding across the African continent. There is not a lack of capital across the African continent. It's that the capital does not find investable opportunity. So I say to the entrepreneurs, money is not the issue. It's your ability to manage and leverage that money and multiply that money. So I'd say to all of those entrepreneurs out there who say capital, lack of access to capital is a problem, I would say no. I'd say from now, having done the program for the first year, TEAP 2015, financial literacy is a big problem. There are a lot of entrepreneurs go out looking for money when in fact what they should be working on is defining their idea.
Well, Africa 54's Paul Ndiho talking to Parminder Vir, the CEO of the Tony Elumelu Foundation. In part two, Ms. Parminder Vir talks about a mentorship program that gave 1,000 entrepreneurs with ideas up to $5,000 each. Stay tuned.